Good Tuesday morning, Market Chameleons, and everyone joining us for the first time. Thanks for coming by, checking out the Market Chameleon pre-market show with this man, Dimitri Pargamonic. How you doing, D?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Good. You want to start with a disclaimer?
Yep. Good morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I and Market Chameleon, we're not a registered investment advisor. We're not a broker dealer. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need advice, call your registered investment advisor. That's what they're there for. There's the disclaimer.
Excellent.
Yep. With that, let me share my screen. As I'm doing that, if you're joining us for the first time, Will and I, we do these shows in the morning to try to help answer questions you may have about the Market Chameleon tools, data, analytics. If you have a question, you could type it into the live chat on YouTube. If you'd like to come on the show and ask your question live, we also provide a link to Zoom. Click on that. Once you log into Zoom, click on raise your hand. That lets us know you have a question. Once we let you in, you could ask your question live. So to give you guys a chance to type in the questions, we'll start out taking a look at the pre-market report, see if we could get insights, what's trading in the pre-market hours, and then we'll move on to the questions.
Perfect.
Yep. So let's start with pre-market report. These are stocks trading in the pre-market hours today. We have our most active stocks, our biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. We got 35 stocks that made our percentage gainers list, 68 on the decliners. So right now, from that perspective, we would look like we're setting up for a bearish sentiment in the morning. With the, according to the trade in the pre-market hours. Let's scroll up here. We'll take a look at it from another perspective. And we have this calendar view. This goes back dates. So you could go back in time, see what happened in the pre-market hours on those dates. Right now, we're on October 17th. And from a high level, this is what's going on. We have 242 stocks trading higher versus 386 stocks trading lower in the pre-market hours. We have 137 million shares trading on up volume versus 53 million shares trading on down volume. And then if we convert that volume to dollar value, we have $666 million worth of stock trading higher versus $2.3 billion worth of stock trading lower. So this also indicates traders in a pre-market so far trading with bearish bias. So we'll do one more check, look at it from another perspective, and then we'll move on to the questions. Let me come down here. When we looked at this list, if you guys notice that in this list, we have small cap stocks, there are ETFs in there, all types of securities. If they're listed on major U.S. exchange, it's trading in the pre-market hours and meets our thresholds, it can make this list. And to narrow it down to a smaller group of stocks, we could use the filters above. If you have a watch list, you could filter by your watch list. We're going to use this one in ETF. I'm going to click on it, get a drop-down menu to choose from. There are sector ETFs in there, broad-based ETFs. Let's use SPY. In this example, I'm going to click on that. When you click on the SPY, the list below will get filtered by stocks that are holdings in the SPY ETF, which are the S&P 500 constituents. And here we see one stock made our percentage gainers list, 10 on the decliners. So again, from this perspective, we also look like we're lining up with, some bearish bias in the pre-market trading. So we gave it a couple minutes. Well, if you have questions, I'll take them now.
Yeah, nothing's popped up, D.
Okay. So I guess one thing, we do the pre-market report, we talk, I guess we started with it every day, but sometimes I get questions, and I think that some people might be confused with what's going on in the pre-market hours. And I think some people think that it's an indication of where the stock is going to be in the future, and they're trying to buy it at a different price before it gets there. And that's not what the pre-market report's saying, right? So it's not an indication the stock's going to be up 10%, but you could buy it before it gets there. And that's, because if that was the case, that's everybody would just do that, right? There would be nobody who would wait to buy, 10% higher. If you could get it, you could get it at a 10% discount, then just flip it out. These are actual trades happening. That's where the stock is right now, right? So when we look at a stock in a pre-market, it's down, it says down 4.4%. That's where it's trading at in the pre-market hours. All right. So it's already down 4.4%. You can't sell it higher. It doesn't mean that you could sell it at yesterday's price somewhere and then buy back at down 4.4%. So these are already actual trades going on in the pre-market hours. They're trading at those prices. Okay. So I'll take a look here. We'll use SPY. All right. And I think most of you know it, but I do get these emails sometimes where the people want to see very early, like where the price has moved, and and then they follow with, because I want to know ahead of time before it moves there, but that's not what's going on, right? It's not the pre-market are not signals from the exchanges to say go buy it before it goes up 10%. That's not what's going on. So let's say SPY right now. So in SPY, we see that it is down 0.5% in pre-market, right? It closed yesterday at $436.04. Right now in the pre-market, it's $433.80, right? Down 0.5%. So I'm going to go here to the price action. This kind of gives us a summary, but let's move on to the pre-market. Pre-market VWAP. All right. So on the right-hand side here, pre-market VWAP. And here, if you come down here, this is showing us the trades. These are minute by minute summarized of what's going on today in the pre-market hours, right? This is what's been going on. So you see, like, if we scroll all the way down, from 4 a.m., the stock started trading, and you could see here, this is the volume, the number of trades, and this is the volume weighted average price of all those trades in that minute. Okay. We have the high of the minute, the low of the minute, the ending bid ask. So you could see how wide those markets are to measure, to get a sense of the liquidity of the difference between the bid and offer interest, right? And we could see, how much is trading. So you could see at 4 o'clock, in SPY, it's the S&P 500 ETF. This one will probably kind of trade one of the highest volume ones, on a relative basis, trades on a day-to-day basis. All right. So there are some high volume ones. Once in a while they get news, but on a consistent basis, SPY is probably one of the higher volume ones if we measure it on a consistent basis. So we could see how, it progressed. We could take a look at where the bigger volume ones were. So here we got some, 2,400 shares traded 1,000. So these are the bigger volume ones. We see a couple on an uptick, right? So this lets us know if the VWAP changed from 1 minute to the next, did it move up or down? And why is that important from 1 minute to the next? Why would we want to see that? Well, if we see something, like bigger trades, maybe like right here, we want to see, did the bigger trades, or any trades really, if on the bigger trades we see an uptick, well, that could be an indication to us that there are more buyers than sellers, right? To move the stocks, to move price is higher, you need buyers to start taking offers, right? You need the bids to increase, and you need to take the offers at higher prices. So that would require buyers, right? Sellers cannot just take this on their own, take the prices higher, because then that would be great if you're a seller and you could force prices higher. So buyers would have to push the prices higher, more buyers than sellers, right? So the opposite on the way down, right? So when we see it, we could start making inferences on what may have gone on and where the bigger, what's happening on the bigger trades. So let's kind of start coming up here as the news site. Here's a big one, 10,000. So here 10,000 traded, looks like it kind of crossed, right there. Afterwards, we had another one, like maybe these are two big ones in a row, on an uptick. And then we could kind of just see how it progressed, right? But the point here, I think the major point here, here's a big one on an uptick. And then we're already near 9 o'clock. So this is way earlier, and of course, what happened, now it's a big one. So usually then what happens is around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, the news cycle hits, right? We start getting press releases, we start getting earnings. I think some banks announced today, correct, Will? I think Goldman, Bank of America, we're starting to get some earnings in the pre-market hours, and then you'll see some reactions there. So here's a big one here. Somebody hit it, on a downtick followed by an uptick. So I think what the big point I was trying to make here is that these are actual trades, right? This isn't a prediction or an indication. This has happened, right? This is where the stock is trading in the pre-market hours. And that's important to know, because I think some people may be confused, and from the way they're asking questions, where they think, well, they need to know ahead of time where the stock is going to be later on. There's no such indication, right? There's no such indication to say, okay, buy here because in a half hour you're going to be able to sell it 10% higher. If that was it, then the game, then this game would be very easy, right? Then there's no, what's the risk, right? Then if that's what you imagine that trading is, you really have to step back and first start reading about the market and the way it works. But and most of you do, trust, 99%, but sometimes I get these weird questions where I feel like I just wanted to cover that, explain it just in case somebody out there is thinking that way. And here we could go look at the pre-market. Just you could see minute by minute. Some people like to analyze these, and look how things are trading, how much liquidity, because you could really get a sense of how big, and you could see here some big trades, and how much does the stock move on these big trades. If it's moving a little bit, then there's a lot of liquidity. There's a lot of buy and sell interest, and if it's moving a lot, there's less liquidity. So that's one way. We can look at the spreads between the bid ask. We could see the spread between the high and low price of the minute, and these are major liquidity metrics and measures. All right. While I'm on here, let's just go take a look at the VWAP charts. And this is going to give us a pre-market visual. These are all the pre-market trades from today. So up top, we have this chart, just shows us how the stock price did. These volume bars are just showing us in that period if there's big spikes at any particular period, because then you could spot the time and what the stock did afterwards. And if you wanted to look back, what happened, like why Why was there a big spike right there at this time, right? At 8 o'clock, we see a big spike in volume. Then we see another one right here. And we see since then, since those big trades occurred, the stock started to float down, right? And then we could take a look at, well, what happened, what caused this, what was the news, you know, what were the events that could have led to that. And that's important to know, because if you're going to learn about trading and the dynamics and how things are influenced and anticipate reactions, that's part of going back and learning, right? Part of it. So let's come down here and look at these charts. So what these are doing is looking at, these are basically, VWAP bars by volume. So it's looking at the prices and how much volume traded at these prices. So right now you could see this volume bar right here when I'm hovering over it. Most of the volume today traded in this range, $434.12, $434.33. Okay, so we put them in buckets, and that's where most of the volume is, and we clocked it at 260,000 shares traded there. All right. And you can see up there, not that much. Above it, we could see over here kind of broke through, below it. And so we're actually below that right now. All right. So there was a lot of trades going on there. Looks so far, that was the big, inflection point, support resistance. So right now we're below it. We'll see, what happens below it. If there could be a big air bubble and we might not reach another, high bar lower, or could come up. We don't know yet. But this is so far what's going on. All right. So you kind of get an idea what transpired. If we wanted to break down the volume by, other categories, classification, we could also do that. So over here, we're breaking down the volume by trade size of these trades, and then we put them in a bucket that we classify. All right, so this is our classification: small retail, regular retail trades, professional and institutional, based on the volume of those trades that we aggregate. And we see here that based on the green, the vast majority of that volume are institutional size trades. Right. So it doesn't, so the institutions so far have been pretty active in SPY, and I don't think that's very unusual in SPY. Right. So it's the S&P 500. So you'll get some big trades in there. And if we wanted to see, well, are these transactions, or this volume, where is it accessing liquidity? Okay. So we could divide that up into private exchanges and public exchanges, dark pools and the public exchanges. So NYC, NASDAQ, all these are public exchanges. Anybody could access them. Your broker could access them. But dark pools are private exchanges, right? These are private and broker dealers like Knight Capital, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, whatever. They have their own internal dark pools that they match up customer orders, and they could get matched up in there and trade in there. And if they need to get executed and they can't, sometimes then they'll go to the public exchanges, right? So from here, we see the breakdown, and at each level, the amount that went to the public exchanges. So that's the lit exchanges, that's in the yellow, and then the dark pools, that's over here in the blue, right? So is just obvious looking at it that way more volume so far is trading on the lit exchanges. Not a lot on a relative basis, not a lot in the dark pools. So most of these trades have to go and access the liquidity on the lit exchanges, meaning New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or ARCA or all these exchanges. Could be Amex. There's there's still a lot of lit exchanges, public exchanges, that you could trade in the pre-market hours, and it looks like most of this liquidity is going to the lit exchange. All right, so that's what. So we're just painting a picture, and this is SPY. So SPY, it trades, like I said, from day to day. It's it's one of the most active. It's the S&P 500 ETF. But I'm just going through, just showing you how to, understand these metrics and data points. All right. So what we did, we covered the VWAP table, VWAP charts. In the pre-market. All right. And you got some summary stats here. If we go back here to the summary table, so this is the summary table. This is from a high level, this is where we are now. So far, the total VWAP, volume weighted average price in the pre-market, was $434.26. So you can see right now we're kind of already below that. So we're starting to float below that, but that was the volume weighted average price of the trades in the pre-market hours. If we took the total dollar value of the trades, right, in SPY, if we took the dollar value weighted average, the dollar value of all the trades, $607 million worth of stock traded in SPY so far in the pre-market hours. We still have some time to go, but that's what happened so far. Is that a lot? Is that a little? Well, here we have stats for the last 30 days, right? So in the last 30 days, on a daily average, $755 million dollars worth of stock traded. So it's not, that's 80% of the usual. So it's not a lot on a relative basis, right? Near that average. And we could see that's been ticking up. So if we compared it to the 30 days prior, 581 million, the volume has been ticking up, trending up in the last 30 days relative to the previous 30 days. And obviously we've had a lot of stuff happening too, right? Like with the war and what's going on in the Middle East. We have earnings coming up, so it's not surprising, that there's just more activity and reaction to stuff in the news going on. Well, I guess we just have a couple minutes left. We didn't get any questions today. I'm going to end it right there. You're on mute, Will.
Sorry about that. I was clearing my throat. Nothing's popped up yet. That was
Okay.
excellent information, D. Thanks so much.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a great trading day and hope to see you guys